Welcome to Between Sundays. I'm Tyler, and I've never eaten something that's actively tried to kill me. Today we're talking about fruit, but before we chop down trees and throw them into the fire, now that they have white-knuckled themselves into Christ-likeness, let's measure our lags and welcome in our favorite co-host, Marin and Barry. Good day, guys.
Good day.
Lots of references.
Do you make it a habit to lie in your intros?
What did I lie about?
You've eaten plenty of things that have tried to kill you.
Like what?
Actively kill you.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true. I forgot about all my allergic reactions in the last two years. I forgot about that.
That always seemed to happen
All right, let's
in
do
the
it
middle
over.
of a work day.
I have eaten many things that have tried to kill me. That's right. I forgot all about that, actually.
Yes,
But it's
like, what part of
unexplained.
Tyler's face is swollen today? What'd you eat?
On this very podcast, I was swelling up. My throat was swelling up once because I ate a sandwich that I eat every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind. Strike it from the record. Guys,
Yeah.
Marin, please. I have had so many people
Oh no.
say,
Do I need to issue a public apology?
ask me if you are yet excited
I'm so sorry.
about the Indiana Pacers.
I want to apologize to every sports aficionado for not realizing that we were in the playoffs last week. My apologies. I am oh so very excited
Well,
for you.
Well, now you'd be excited for us because now we are in the NBA Finals for the first time in 25 years, which means they're one of two teams remaining. And so games start this week. We can have watch parties, just pod watch parties.
Can we?
Yeah, just
Barry,
live
you
stream
in?
it, the three of us.
Hey, let's do it.
Live stream our watch party. You guys who didn't even know the playoffs existed, and then me.
First of all, I've been to a Pacers game this year.
Yeah,
so
you have.
Let's just sort that away.
Good. All right. Well, people were very concerned that you didn't even know where we were.
If my husband's not watching it,
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
just not aware.
Yep.
I went to Game 4 a couple days ago. What was that? Last Friday, and it was electric.
I bet.
If you are a Pacers fan, every Pacer from 1992, like big names, were in the building. They were all there. They were watching the game together in the stadium. And then Pat McAfee got up and did his thing, which is very controversial. But he basically told all the New Yorkers to get out.
Whoa.
We got to send them back with the ears ringing. And so, like, Ben Stiller was there. Timothy Chalamet was there. Spike Lee was
That
there.
the night you lost?
No, we won that
Oh,
game.
you won that night.
Yeah, we won that game.
Okay. Because where are we at?
They're in the finals. I just said it.
Notice the pronouns we're using here. Marin's saying
We.
you and
We
they.
are in the
And
finals.
he's saying we. That's hilarious.
We are in the finals. Game 1 of the finals
I am
starts on
Not
Thursday.
from around here.
Game 1 starts Thursday. But yeah, it was a blast because it was like I grew up watching these players. They're all there watching the game. And it's like, man, we're going to make it to the finals for all these guys who couldn't make it themselves. And yeah, it's fun.
Are your kids into this?
They are
Yeah.
now. The boys at the beginning of the playoffs, which started in April, by the way, you're 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months ago is when the playoffs started.
Been a little busy, but
Yeah.
okay.
We were like, hey, you want to stay up for the games? And the games were like at 6. So it was like 8:30, 9
Okay.
o'clock,
Yeah.
game was over, whatever, no problem. Now the games are all at 8, and they're having trouble staying awake.
Just in time for summer, though.
Yeah,
It is summer.
but they were able to stay awake for game 6, which is the game that clinched their trip to the finals.
Nice.
So,
See, that's
They're
how you
excited.
get them. That's
Yeah.
how you get them. The Bears.
Oh, they're in for life
The
now.
Bears won a Super Bowl when
Yeah.
my husband was, I don't know, probably Lane's
2.
age. Like 3. I think he was 3.
85. Oh, he was 3. All right.
Yeah. The 85 Bears
Yeah.
clinched it for Jed. Bears
Yeah.
fan for life.
Then they were again in 2007
Stop
and
talking.
got beat
I
by
need
the
you to stop
Indianapolis
talking
Colts.
right now. Why did I even bring it up? Why do I throw the door wide open for you?
Oh, man. What's new with you guys? That's what's new with me. It's just all Pacers all the time.
That's
just trying to
awesome.
figure out what I'm going to do for the next 2 weeks and where I'm going to watch it and who I'm watching it with and all that stuff. So
Wow.
what's new with you guys?
Engine maintenance, like small engine maintenance. Yeah.
Did you say maintenance?
Oh, like
Yes.
lawnmowers.
Maintenance?
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
Maintenance. Maintenance for my British
Maintenance.
friends. Maintenance. I don't know. I've never been called out on that word before.
It's never struck me like that.
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
Maintenance. Anyway, yeah, because I'm in like full on farm chore season. Chainsaw,
good, yeah.
weed trimmer, and the lawnmower just stopped working right. And so I've been learning like so much because I refuse to like take it in unless it's absolutely necessary. And so I've been like problem solving. I'm learning about ignition coils and I'm cleaning carburetors and I'm like, oh, this is happening. And my neighbor Bill, who's been working on motors and stuff his entire life, he's always giving me pointers and telling me what to do. He's like, just don't touch this or you'll die. I'm like, okay, I won't touch that. And anyway, it's good times. So I'm actually really kind of proud of myself.
Yeah.
I've got just parts of the engine lying everywhere as I'm like slowly trying to figure out. I replaced the ignition coil and that is not the problem. So anyway, I bought an inline spark plug or spark detector at the auto parts store. I'm going to test that out this afternoon. So
is your grass like super long?
No, thankfully we had kind of stayed on top of it and then it stopped raining as much. And so it hasn't been. If it goes on longer than another week, it'll get pretty out of hand. But
you have a fancy mower, right? You have one
like
of the
it's
one of the
it's
ones
like
with
a
the
60-inch deck, like 0-turn mower. Yeah, we need to. We have 10 acres.
Yeah.
We
have a push mower. And this past weekend, I let Milo mow the backyard.
Oh man, did he do
I
it?
have arrived, guys.
Yes, you have.
I never thought this day would come.
All the sleepless nights.
Marin's told me for years, once your kids can pour their own milk,
That's right.
it's like off to the races with independence.
That's it.
Now they can pour their own milk and do a push mower.
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing.
As long as it's in a straight line.
He's still at the age where he enjoys it too.
Oh, yeah, he has to do it again the next day. I was like, well, we got to wait a couple days till
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Enjoy that while it lasts.
Yeah, him mowing, he enjoyed it. Him needing to pick up dog poop before mowing, not so much. Did not enjoy that part.
Not so good.
But yeah, we're off to the races with chores.
Okay.
Because summer's here, and
Is he being compensated for his work?
Roof over his head, meals in his belly.
I tell you what.
Are you at that stage yet? Are we doing allowance?
No. Well, if there's like a special chore that like is not recurring, but I want him to do it, like pick up spike balls in my front yard. Like, I'll give you a nickel for every spike ball you pick up or whatever. Stuff like that.
That's an incredible amount of
A
money.
nickel
Yeah.
for every spike ball?
Yeah, well, I know that he's got
thousands of dollars.
He's got the stamina of like a housefly. So like he's good for about 20 minutes. He'll get 11 spike balls and be excited that he can get a gumball at the restaurant we go to or whatever. But no allowance. They just need to learn how to contribute. Really, like it's summer, and Lauren and I over the weekend just about lost our minds because of how much stuff is just like they're out of the school routine. So it's just like they just when they finish something, they just either leave it or put it on the floor or whatever. And you can't walk in a straight line in our house without stepping over
over again.
So we had a big purge this weekend where we purged the house, the garage, the shed, which I'll talk about in a little bit in terms of bad fruit.
Oh,
because I got some bad fruit. With the shed clearance.
You got shed fruit that went bad.
Or is this metaphorical fruit?
Yeah. Marin, what's new with you?
My baby turned 20. That's what's new with me. I have no teenagers.
How's that feel?
Left in my home.
Does that feel different, or like was it something that snuck up on you and now you're super emotional about it, or had you not thought about it, or?
I'm not that emotional about it. It is a moment. Like, wow, teenage years. Like close the book.
Yeah.
They did it.
Over.
They are now into their 20s.
Yeah.
I think I'm just excited for what's next. And
what is next?
What is next? Grad school for Desi. She's really
grad school.
Really looking
So
hard.
she's already done with college.
She will be done with college this time next year.
Wow.
So she's looking into grad school.
What's she want to study? What's she looking to get?
She really is interested in forensic psychology.
Oh, that's
or
right.
Clinical psychology. So she's looking at a couple of different schools and trying to make plans. That's what she talks about constantly. So
making
it's pretty
plans.
wild.
Good for
pretty
her.
wild.
The first time I ever met Desi, she was probably what, 13?
Younger than that, I think, because
12?
we came here when she was in 7th grade and Jaden was in 8th grade.
All right. So 12 and 13 or something. First time I ever met her, I came to your old house to help you guys move.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So,
oh, the meatball.
well, but
It's a deep
she
cut
got
for
off
friends
her,
of the pod.
like, I showed up, and then Jaden and Desi got off the bus, and it was a Friday.
Yeah,
And Jaden goes to his room. I don't know. He's probably picking up a guitar or something.
probably.
And Desi immediately gets off the bus and comes in and sits down on a Friday to do her homework.
That's my girl.
And I was like,
Nice.
I've never seen a kid like this. Like, who is excited to like do that?
Yeah.
You got a whole weekend ahead of you and you can't wait. You get off the bus and you walk straight to the dining room table and you do your homework.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Is the phrase I would use to describe her life.
Yeah.
Can't
She can't wait.
wait.
She's got to get it done.
Yeah. So she did 2 years of college in 11 months, which is what is
Wow.
kind of gotten her to this place so quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, she can't wait. And she's already looking ahead. And
Unbelievable.
no
for her.
gap years for her. She's
No.
just on to the next thing. So
Wow.
that was my weekend celebrating my girl.
Good.
Cool.
How old is your daughter these days?
My daughter? Why are you doing that? I was emotional during grad services yesterday, watching all these grads with their parents walk across the stage at Grace. And I was like, that's going to be me in like 10 years.
Not that long.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
No, but she's 2. Lou is 2 to answer your question. And she's in full on dad mode.
Oh.
Lauren got her up out of her bed the other day and she was like, hey, good morning, Lou. And Lou's response was, where's me dad?
She a pirate?
Yeah, where's me dad?
That's adorable.
Yeah, so
Well, hey,
full dad mode.
enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Enough pleasantries. We got to get into week
Get
6
down to business.
of Matthew series. Follow me.
Actually, I think it was week 7.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, great.
I thought it was week 8.
There's no way to know.
What's even
There's really no
happening
way
right
to
now?
know.
Week 6.
It's
I'm pretty sure last week I said week 5 and you guys were like, yeah, that's right.
I think I remember realizing after the fact that was wrong. So.
Can you
whatever.
start to like edit that in post or do a voiceover or something? We're in week 6.
6.
Yeah. Of follow me. Yeah. Whatever week we're in, I think it's 6 if we don't count Easter.
I'm looking it up.
He's-
Well, I am counting Easter because that's
Oh.
part of the series.
That kicked it off.
All right. Anyways, what's the big idea of whatever week we're in?
It was week 7. All right. The big idea. We looked at the end of the Sermon on the Mount. So this is where Jesus kind of concludes by offering these 3 sort of mental images or these 3 metaphors for the 2 choices that everybody has to make in their life. He describes, 2 different paths that you can go down. He describes 2 different types of foundations to build your house upon, and then he describes 2 different types of fruit. And so I decided let's let the Bible Project video kind of explain the other 2, and then let's focus in specifically on the fruit, bearing fruit. And so really, I mean, it's not a extremely complicated topic, but it's one that's still very difficult for us to sometimes live out, which is the idea that to have good fruit in your life, which I associate with things like the fruit of the Spirit, the fruit of some of these things that Jesus has been talking about in his Sermon on the Mount, things like peacemaking and humility and mercy and all that stuff. To have that kind of fruit, you have to have the right kind of tree. A good tree bears good fruit. And so to have a good tree, we have to tend the tree, which is just another way of saying we have to you're not a disciple of Jesus by default. You actually have to do the work. You have to model your life after him. You have to surround yourself with people who are farther down the road than you that are going to teach you and help shape you so that you are the right kind of tree that ends up bearing the right kind of fruit. That's basically it. That's the big idea.
So you preached for 30 minutes, 25 minutes?
25.
For about 17 of those minutes, I was trying to think of what my favorite fruit is.
Okay, what'd you come up with?
Did you land
Did you
anywhere?
decide?
Yeah, I did. But now I'd like your opinions, and I'm going to do a blind fruit ranking test on both of you guys.
Blind. How does that work?
This is how you spend your time.
This is how you spend your time while listening to sermons.
So I didn't know what week we're in the sermon series because I spent so much time trying to do a blind fruit taste, not taste test.
I wish we were doing
blind
a taste
fruit
test.
test.
Besides,
So-
you'll never have my favorite fruit on there. There's whatever.
Well, yeah.
I don't
So-
understand. What is
I'll
how
tell
does
you.
this- Okay, explain.
All right, these fruits that I'm about to list, I have 5 fruits. They're determined by me to be good. These are good fruit
According to you.
to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to know your opinions and ranking. So I'm going to give each of you a blind ranking test. I'm going to list 5 fruits one at a time, okay, without knowing what other fruit is coming.
I see.
Ooh.
I
gotta
want
put
you
them
to
in order.
rank the fruit on a scale between 1 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay, all
5
right.
being the best, 5 being the
5
worst.
being the worst.
Got
So
it.
number 1 is the best fruit.
Okay.
All right.
These are the fruits that I've decided are good, and you can determine any other criteria.
Do we
so
each,
I just
do
said
we
these
each
are
get
good.
our own list or
No, same fruits.
Same list. Okay.
You just tell me your numbers, like
All right.
maybe at the same time or
All right.
something.
All right.
I'm ready.
Sure.
No, you don't have to be at the same
Is this
time.
a game? Are
Yeah.
you making me play a
It's a
game?
game. It's
You
a
can
game.
determine any other criteria because I'm just like, yeah, that's a good fruit. You could be like, well, the versatility of the fruit or whatever, like the sweetness or what.
Okay.
I know you're going to overthink it.
She already is.
So, all right, fruit number 1, watermelon.
5.
4.
You don't like watermelon,
No, sir.
okay?
And I believe you already knew this. I do not
I know-
like watermelon.
I thought you just didn't like watermelon flavor.
I just don't like watermelon.
Oh, okay.
Liv loves the watermelon. I like it. I like the taste of it. It is sticky. It's wet. It's kind of hard to carve. Like it's
Crunchy water.
This is exactly what I was hoping for. For this one.
convenience factor is so low with watermelon that
Sticky and wet.
I'd rather go with another fruit.
Okay, great.
I'd rather go with something boring like an
any other
apple than watermelon just because of the
Watermelon,
the
4 for
sensation.
Barry,
4.
5 for
5.
Marin. You
Dead
hate
last.
it.
Dead
All right.
last.
Number 2, avocado. Ooh.
It's kind of not fair.
3.
That's kind of not fair.
Why?
2. The
Whoa.
versatility.
See,
Savory,
I knew you.
sweet,
I used the word versatility,
buttery,
thinking.
spreadable.
Yeah.
It's kind of not. This is kind of not fair
Why is that not fair?
because it's like part fruit, part veggie.
No, it's a fruit, right? It has a seed.
I mean, red peppers are fruits. That's all. Like it's all in the matter of
Yeah.
definition. So, I put it at 3 because I
All right,
am
3.
positive there's going to be things I like more than avocado on there, but I do like.
So you're
avocado.
at 4 and 3,
5. Oh, 4 and 3.
and
Correct.
you're at 5 and
5 and 2.
Okay. Next one. Red sweet cherry. Ooh.
4.
I don't think it's worse than watermelon, so I'll say 2 because I like sweet cherries a lot, even with the pit. And
Maybe 3.
You don't like cherries either?
They just take so much work.
if you're not catching on, we're lazy fruit eaters.
Okay. So what are you at? 2?
Well, it just really depends on what comes next, and that's why I don't like this
why I
game.
know,
I'm
that's what-
saving.
That's
I'm
why I
saving
don't
1 and
like
5.
games.
I'm saving 1 and 5 to the end, and this is
You're
going to come back to
make
bite
it
me.
Jackfruit or something.
Yeah, durian.
You know me too well. You should have seen all the fruits I had on here.
All right,
So wait, you have
I'll put it at 2 because I
2?
don't know that it's my favorite fruit.
4 and 3.
2, 3, and 4.
Okay,
Yes.
and you have
5, 2, and 4.
okay. So you've got 3 and 1 available.
That's all I have is
Okay.
middle of the road or best.
Next one, peaches.
Ooh.
Oh, he's gonna get us with some crazy
He
fruit at the
is.
end.
So
he
I
has
have to. I have to put peaches as number 1 then.
I guess I do
if that's
too.
all I have left.
There, honestly though, there is really nothing better than an extremely ripe peach.
I know, I
It's
agree.
So good.
Correct.
It's not my favorite fruit, but it is
On this list,
On
it's
this
your
list,
favorite.
it's probably my favorite.
Especially if you grill it.
No,
Yeah.
not
Get
especially.
out of here.
Yeah.
What? Not especially, but
You're not
maybe
grilling your
including.
peaches?
Did you have those little disc peaches in Ukraine? Did you?
No. I
Oh
don't
my
think
gosh,
So.
those I ate like too many of those. They're so good. I've never grilled peaches. I need to try it. That sounds interesting.
So you got 1 filled.
Yeah, 1. Because you're going to hit me with something that I know is weird and should be 7. Number 7. Go ahead.
All right, you still got your 1 open, right?
No, I still got 5 open.
Okay. Red delicious apple.
Oh, okay. Totally
yeah.
middle of the road.
Yeah.
I win this game. Like
3.
everything is right where it needs to be.
And you're 5.
I mean, yeah, Red Delicious is kind of gross, mealy, and
Yeah.
unsatisfying.
I asked Liz and Christina in here. I was like, "What's your least favorite apple?" And they said Red Delicious, and so
Yeah.
I put it on here.
You know why it's called Red Delicious? because it isn't, and they had to market it. They had to find a way to sell it.
Yeah, I had like star fruit on here,
I don't even know.
dragon fruit, but
If you'd put mango on there, I would put that
Yeah.
at 0. It is.
you don't like mangoes.
No. It was 5,
Oh,
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It
Yeah.
is
The ultimate.
S class. It's S tier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
To
I
speak
agree.
to those children today,
I'm telling
it's
you.
S tier.
During the sermon, I
Yeah.
was Googling like most popular fruits by like age, and mango was top of the list.
What
for
was at the bottom of the list? What's the worst fruit?
Red
Since
delicious
we're
apple.
also
Like
talking
raisins?
about bad fruits.
raisins.
Raisins are good. What are you talking about? Wow. This is what the people
This is what,
are here
So
for.
glad we like that. So we're gonna, if you're watching on YouTube, we're gonna have everybody. We're gonna have Marin and Barry's
Rankings on there.
rankings
Oh,
on there.
love
so
it. Love
we're
it.
Gonna see what the final tally is. You can vote on your favorite.
I mostly stand by my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were thinking about all the fruits.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my daughter who just turned 20 who hates fruit.
Ooh, just all fruit.
What?
Every fruit
How?
ever.
Why?
She hates fruit. And I was like, wow, this must be a very difficult message for her to hear.
She's not resonating with
I
it.
told her I would maybe change it for her to like, I don't know, flowers.
Yeah.
You
Good
know,
flowers, bad flowers.
Good flowers, bad flowers. The kind
She
that
doesn't
try
like
to kill you
fruit.
and
I
the
don't
kind that
know.
are beautiful and smell good.
I've never met anyone that doesn't like a fruit.
There are now
Apparently
two people
you
in my
have.
life who do not like
Who
any
else?
fruit. I probably am not at liberty to say their name.
Okay. All right. So it was grad weekend. At
It
Grace,
was. Yeah.
where we kind of celebrate and acknowledge graduating seniors from high school and invite them up, and these are families that call Grace home and their parents, and we kind of commission them and send them out and pray over them as a church. But in your sermon, you called them out kind of specifically, being like, hey, here's some good advice. Like,
Yeah.
pay attention, because there's some good advice here in what Jesus is saying, especially the part about the warning of being aware of false prophets.
Yeah. That was the first of
Yeah,
my
that was
two
the first
reference.
thing where you're like, hey, grads, this is good advice.
Yeah.
And you asked a good question. You said, how can we tell if someone's a false prophet, basically? And Jesus's answer, or your answer, is by the fruit they bear.
Mm-hmm.
So can you go a little bit deeper on that? Because in my experience, I don't know if I've met, like, I don't even know what like an official false prophet is, but I've met a lot of people that I don't know that they're false prophets until I'm in like really deep with them. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, there's been a lot of harm that's been caused or whatever. So like
Sure.
in the video we watched,
Yeah, they acknowledge that.
yeah, they talk about that. They said that you can fake it for people, but you can't fake it for God. And so I'm curious a little bit more on how do we know a false prophet when we see one, and how do we do it faster than like
Yeah.
what my experience has been.
Well, this is where discernment comes in. This is where the Holy Spirit comes in. But I tried to kind of expand our minds a little bit with what good fruit looks like by kind of that whole idea of the tree that with the like I said, the different fruit from the what is it? Fruit of the Spirit and the fruit from the Sermon on the Mount and all the other kind of fruit. Like when you think of that tree as a whole, it looks like Jesus. And then I said, all right, now try to imagine like a bad fruit tree and what would be on there, and it's basically the opposite of all that stuff. You know, there's humility on one side, there's pride on the other, there's gentleness on one side, there's harshness on the other. And so I guess for me it's just a matter of looking at someone looking beyond the words that they're saying to the spirit behind the words that they're saying. And like there are people who will claim to speak for God, they will even quote scripture and they'll talk about Jesus and say things like love and stuff like that, but then you look at the life that they're living or the way that they interact with people, and what you see is bitterness and selfishness and greed and that kind of thing. And it's more about like what is the result of their life and the way that they're living, the way they interact with people, less than what do they actually say. So, but again, you're right. It like people can fake it, and you can fake being really, really nice, but you're really being manipulative. Like it's possible to, at least to a degree, to fake some of the fruit, some of the good fruit. So that is difficulty. But I think Jesus's advice is still really good and wise. Don't just listen to someone because they claim to speak for God. Don't just listen to someone because they talk about their faith and how much they love Jesus. Like look at their life and you will find out if they have a level of authority that comes with that.
Yeah.
It's not just the words, it's the actions.
I think humility is such a huge piece of that, because maybe there are people who are speaking with a degree of spiritual authority. I've had pastors in my life speaking with degrees of spiritual authority, and then, they have a short temper one day, or they slip up. Now, does that make them a false prophet, or is that just showing their brokenness and their humanness? And I think the question is, like, who was it? Was it Nathan, the prophet, who went to David saying, I hear
Samuel,
that's it. I hear the bleating of sheep. Was it that one?
He tells him the story about the sheep, the rich man that took the poor man's only sheep.
And the point was the humility, right? Like, these pastors that I've known in the past, one of them at least, when you would say, hey, I think you really crossed a line there, they were very quick to humble themselves and, admit that they had fallen short and were also human. And I think a hallmark of a false prophet is the opposite of that. Not willing to humble themselves and
100%.
Thinking that they are just God's mouthpiece and therefore they're right all the time.
Yeah. The problem with what we have today versus what Jesus had back then is, if you wanted to go listen to somebody, like, you saw them in person on a hillside somewhere and you could see the way that they interacted. You could see the way that they lived their life. Now, like, you're flipping through TikTok and then you get, boom, some person speaking into a microphone, seemingly very authoritative, saying these very authoritative sounding things about God. And then you flip on to the next one and you don't know who they are. You don't know what kind of life they live. You're just relying entirely on their charisma. And that's what's so tricky. And I don't have a really good answer for that, other than find a local church, get invested in a local church, and actually know the people you're actually listening to. That's the only advice I can give.
Yeah, Maren, what you just said, I was also thinking about, like, my big takeaway from this sermon was that tending your tree, I'll get to that in a second, but that whole thing is like a very slow process. You've been doing a food forest for many years.
Right.
It's not like, and the way Jesus kind of talks about it, it's like you're either a good fruit or a bad fruit. And when I wasn't thinking about ranking my fruit, I was like, is it really that binary? Because I think I have good fruit, but then some fruit isn't so great.
Right.
But he's like, a good tree can't produce bad fruit. And so I was like, man, am I a good tree? Because I know that there are times where, this is theoretical. Hypothetical. I may like serve the poor or something, but I may also like perpetuate exclusion, or I may be kind to someone and not know that I'm like perpetuating some kind of injustice or something. So my big takeaway is like this has to be kind of a lifelong, like a long-term thing. It's not something that you can decide. And you talked about this. You're not going to will yourself to do it, but like, I think we're tempted to think like, all right, I'm going to make the decision and I'm off to the races, and in 3 months, I'm going to be better than what I am today or whatever. Right. And it's going to be super connected with God and all this stuff. But it's like agriculture as the metaphor is a good metaphor, because it's like that takes a long time. It takes a long time to get the stuff that you think tastes good or whatever.
But I think you're acknowledging something, though, that is really intentional in Jesus' teaching style in the Sermon on the Mount, which is he does speak with these very extreme binaries. It's this or that. It's this narrow road or it's the wide path. It's this fruit, it's that fruit. But he does that throughout the whole sermon. He says things like, you must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off.
Yeah.
It's like he's doing that on purpose.
Why?
Well, that's a good question. I'd love to ask him, but my guess is that he is calling people to a much, much higher style of life than what the Pharisees were calling them to, which is basically like a form of legalism, which is, just do the right things enough so that you don't get in trouble. And Jesus is like, no, be perfect. That's what we're aiming for here. We're all trying to become like our Father. Yeah. And so I just think it's on purpose. He's calling us beyond ourselves. And the point is, we are going to need the Spirit's help on this, because we are not capable of just doing it ourselves. And it does take time. But I do think it's worth acknowledging that, like, it is kind of black and white. It is kind of a pretty simple, maybe even simplistic binary at first glance.
I always take that word perfect and swap it out for the word complete.
Yeah.
Be complete as I am complete. And tending our tree is a lifelong process. It's a lifelong process of journeying toward completion, right? And as I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk, and you touched on this at the end of your message, thank God we don't have to tend our trees alone.
Right.
Thank goodness. I can't grow anything. Ask my family. If I had to tend a tree, it'd be a lost cause, absolute lost cause. So even in my life, like, thank God I have people around me that can sharpen me and challenge me and hone me and help me tend to my tree or to my garden, and that I'm not expected to do that on my own, because I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the one hand, it's like, this is going to take a long time, but if you're sitting in service yesterday or whatever, and you're like, man, maybe I'm a bad tree and I can't produce good fruit. And so then I started thinking, like, maybe it's like, if you're a bad tree, maybe you're not being called to, like, put your roots in Jesus. Maybe you're being called to, like, be made a new tree. You know? Like, turn into a different tree instead of just trying to, like, take your bad tree and put it in something else and just trying something else. I'm like, maybe we need to ask Jesus to make us a new kind of tree altogether. If we're like, I got nothing but bad fruit, or maybe I've got a mixture. Maybe instead of wondering, like, what my lag measure is, I need to realize that, like, Jesus is asking us to die and be reborn first, and then you tend your tree and grow it in roots of Jesus and all that stuff. But, like, if you're a bad tree, you got to be a new tree.
It's almost like you've read the Bible or something.
BYOB.
I mean, it is, being born again. That's what Jesus says in the Gospel of John. It's a renewal, a beginning again. I mean, you're not born as a fully fledged adult.
Yeah.
And Nicodemus, of course, in John 3 is like, how could you go back into your mother's womb? Like, that's ridiculous. But it's like, no, the point is you start again.
Yeah.
You start again in him. So I think there's something to that.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Absolutely. I like to quote Bonhoeffer frequently when he said, when Christ calls a man, he bids him come and die.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, we can't will ourselves to produce good fruit. He produces that in us.
Yeah.
And so the invitation to come and die is what you just described. I want to start over, Lord. Grow your fruit in me. And I'm going to be diligent to tend to it. I'm not just going to, lay passively and expect that you're just going to make good things, happen. I'm going to actively engage in the cultivation of these fruits that I'm asking you to produce in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you need him to make you the tree. You just can't be like, I'm a tree and I'm maybe in bad soil or whatever, but so I'm going to try this new thing in this other soil and put my roots in Jesus. Like, you might need to just be a whole completely different tree.
Yeah, and the soil is a whole nother metaphor. Where are you planting yourself?
Yeah.
Good soil or bad? What if you're a good tree planted in bad soil? You're going to wither up and die, right?
Yeah. Barry, you preached, you included verses 15 through 20 in this chapter. But as I was preparing for this, I read the whole chapter 7, and it opens with Jesus warning us not to judge people. Do not judge others and you will not be judged. Then we skip to verse 16 and see that we're able to identify and judge others because of the really vicious false prophets and their fruit. And then, so I was reading today and I was like, well, isn't that a judgment? Like, am I not judging? It's like, don't judge anyone. And then 13 verses later, it's like, judge the false prophets. And you're going to be able to tell they're false prophets because of their bad fruit. So how do we recognize good and bad fruit without falling guilty to the judgment of others?
I think maybe I can totally see why you would see that as a possible contradiction. I wonder if
I don't see it as a contradiction. It's just like, do we have to hold both things to be true?
Right.
Or how do we do both of those things well?
I think there's a difference between judgmentalism and discernment. And I think that's what Jesus is calling us to. He's saying, don't be, to paraphrase, don't be judgmental of other people. In other words, don't like lord it over them, look down on them and think that I am holier than thou. Like, don't do that. And don't assume that you're like the master of their life by, looking down your nose at them. That's judgmentalism. But as far as like seeking out which prophets are true and false, I think he's asking us to be discerning, which is less about like, I'm holier than thou. And it's more about, is what you're saying the truth? Is your heart actually in line with Christ? Because I have a choice of whether to submit myself to your teaching or your prophecy or not. So I don't know. That's my first gut reaction to that question.
What do you think, Maren?
Yeah, I'm looking up the scripture that says, for the time has come for judgment to begin at the house of God. And if it begins with us first, what will be the end of those who do not obey the gospel of God? I feel like we start with ourselves. I was 100% tracking with what you said, and you said it before I could, that there's a difference between judgment and discernment. If you want to judge someone or something, it starts here. We're tending to our own trees. And I think that's really important. Instead of, trying to pick the speck out of our brother's eye or judge somebody else, we have to tend to our own garden or tree or side of the fence or however you want to say it. Judgment begins with the house of God. But we are called to be as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove, and to recognize wolves among us, especially those of us, here in the pastoral vocation who are trying to protect a flock. We do have to be discerning, not judgmental, but discerning of the voices and the teachers around us and the influences that are coming in.
Right. And the power dynamic in both of those is opposite. If you are judging someone else, then you are placing yourself in a place of power. If you are listening to a false prophet or even a true prophet, you're putting them in a power over you to speak truth to you. So it is flipped.
Yeah, I can see that. You mentioned good fruit is a lag measure.
Yeah.
And you kind of talked about what that means, and you use the comparison of like gaining weight or whatever. I want to lose weight.
I want to lose weight. Yeah.
That's the lag measure, but there are things within that are lead measures. Right. And you said good fruit is a lag measure, and so you said you need to choose some of the lead measures that get us good fruit.
Right.
Those are, and you listed, root yourself in Jesus, tend your tree to look like his, and learn from master gardeners in life.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go one at a time because I'm honestly struggling with the whole like lag lead measure thing. Okay. Because as soon as you said root yourself in Jesus, I was like, isn't that also a lag measure? Like, because there's a lot of stuff that has to go into what it means to actually root yourself in Jesus. And so can you, I don't know, try to clarify, but like, what does root yourself in Jesus mean in this context?
Sure. Well, first I'll say the lag or the lead measures of fruitfulness that I tried to describe are not actually the three main points that you just listed. The lead measures are, I kind of listed out, they are doing the things that Jesus did to maintain his spiritual life. It's things like prayer, solitude, serving others, developing rich community. Yeah. Those are meditating on scripture. Those are lead measures of fruitfulness, as is choosing to allow the Holy Spirit to prune back the unhelpful branches in your life. That's a lead measure of fruitfulness. So that was, and then things like meditating on scripture, all that stuff. That's all the lead measures of fruitfulness. And so those kind of are sprinkled throughout the 3 points that I mentioned. So I'm sorry if that was unclear.
So the spiritual disciplines essentially is what you're describing.
Yes.
All that stuff. Confession, scripture, prayer.
Right. And this is not something that I have invented. I've read many books over the years on spiritual disciplines, discipleship, and the common theme of all the books that have been written in the last 100 years is all about the fact that you cannot white knuckle your way into Christ-likeness.
Well, that makes a lot more sense then to me, because I probably misunderstood, because when you said
were making a fruit chart.
Yeah, I was focusing on whether I liked watermelon better or red delicious apples. I rewatched it this morning though, because when you were like root yourself in Jesus, I was like, great, tell me Tell me what it goes into that, you know? And
right.
you did. And then I was
yeah.
like, which one's the, anyways.
Yeah. That I think the core idea with like root yourself in Jesus is just the idea of surrender. Like you cannot go into Christ likeness with an unsurrendered heart. You have to give everything up and follow him. You have to give up that rooting yourself in success or wealth or power or whatever it is. You have to allow yourself to be rooted in him, which means surrendering the rest of it. Yeah. So that's where it starts. You can't do the rest of the work until you've done that.
Yeah. Tending your tree to look like his. I said this a few weeks ago on this pod, but I've noticed a thread within the narrative of like what our church is saying this year. And we started the year, I talked about this, but it started the year with endurance and what it means to have a faith that endures. Then we studied Philippians where Paul's writing from jail, and obviously he's got to have a faith that endures, and he considers it all joy. And then, we did a prayer series featuring the author of What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And if you read about his life, and Maren, you went through it, it's like that was a surrendered and enduring faith guy. And now we're talking about tending our trees in Matthew. And as I was going through it this morning, I was like, tending our tree, it means like practicing spiritual disciplines like we just talked about. But I'll just speak for myself. I also need to make sure that those practices are shaping me to be prepared for suffering and sacrifice, things that also look like Jesus, Jesus's tree. And I don't know if those aren't like fruit, I guess, but
endurance is a fruit.
Not just like self-improvement. Like this isn't, I can't just look at this as like a way to improve myself. Tending my tree is about like, it is about watering my soul, if we want to continue the metaphor or whatever. But it also, I have to tend my tree with good fruit that will also prepare me to endure hardship. And I think, I don't know, maybe this is just a thread that I've been carrying this year, but like that stuff makes us more like Jesus too. We're not just like trying to be better. We're not just trying to be better people. We're not even just trying to like grow closer to him. We're trying to be like him. And part of that is fruit that will prepare us for these harder times.
Or if we really, really want to double down on the metaphor and you want to bring endurance into it, there are certain pruning techniques where if a branch is growing at too shallow of an angle from the main stem, you prune that because when it is weighted down with fruit and a wind and a storm comes, it's far more likely to break and shred off part of the tree. But if it's more of a direct angle out of the tree, then it's going to grow a whole lot stronger and will be a lot more weight bearing. Yeah. So there are things that you can do even in the pruning to prepare a tree to endure hardship. So we've stretched the metaphor to its breaking point.
But even that, like the tree doesn't generate fruit for itself. It's about spreading, flourishing, to others. So it's all of these things. You are having to become a stronger tree that can endure hardships and storms. Yeah. Because you're going to continue to spread life to your family and the people around you. We had a prayer meeting this morning. Some members of the prayer team, whoever's available on Monday morning, we got together and had a meeting this morning. And as we were praying about a lot of brokenness, just in every way. People who are ill, people who are struggling in one way or another, just a lot of human brokenness. And I saw it as a forest. Like, oh man, as soon as this prayer meeting's over, I'm going back into the forest. And I'm going to be tripping over everybody's brokenness. I just see tree limbs laying all over the forest floor. But then there are also trees there that are ripe with fruit. And I don't just trip through the valley. I am nourished by the people around me as well, right? We're this forest of all kinds of trees. I love going on hikes with my kids, and there's really, my adults, there's really healthy trees, and there's, a tree that just got struck by lightning last week. Like it's just this mixed bag. But we don't just generate the fruit for ourselves. Like you said, it's not a self-help thing so that we can have this cool collection of fruit and that people could say good things about us when we die. we are producing fruit to spread God's kingdom here on this earth and his flourishing to whoever comes in contact with us. And you just never know who's going to need, that guava from your tree and that red delicious from mine and that mango from yours.
That's a good point. And it goes back to what you said a little bit earlier about doing this in community or not having to do it alone. Because he probably wasn't doing the Sermon on the Mount to one person. Like there was a bunch of people there, and he was not just saying, "Here's how you individual will be better." He's saying, "Here's how here's how all of us will represent what God cares the most about." And this is what it could look like if all of us take on this posture. I couldn't help but wonder. You didn't talk about it, but we're watching Bible Project videos and stuff. And so he mentions fruit. He's talking about fruit. It's not the most popular fruit story in the Bible.
What is?
Adam and Eve.
Garden of Eden. Yeah.
So
that probably was a red delicious apple.
Is-
that was like
Pomegranate.
instant regret.
I always
Instant
heard
regret.
it was a pomegranate.
No, I
You
know
did?
it.
Yeah. You never heard it was a pomegranate?
No, I've always just pictured it as an apple.
That's a medieval thing. It was definitely not an apple.
Flannel graphs were very different from yours.
Was it?
I don't think they had apples in the ancient Near East.
What would it have been?
Pomegranate probably? I don't know.
You can't just eat a pomegranate.
Exactly. That's
break
why
it
they got
open.
exiled
Okay, but
from
are
the
you going to be
garden.
really tempted by a red delicious apple or a big juicy pomegranate? Think about it.
Well, I don't know. It's called red delicious. How bad could it be?
really.
Oh wow.
Anyways, it's not the most popular fruit story in the Bible. And so is the stuff about the fruit that Jesus is talking about a reference to what happened in the Garden of Eden in any way? Like when Matthew's writing this, is he like, he's talking about good and bad fruit. Remember the bad fruit from way back when? Like, don't be that. Like, is there any part of that Matthew's trying to communicate?
I'm positive. I mean, I'm at this point, I've given up on assuming that anything is a coincidence in the Bible.
Yeah.
The biblical authors know exactly what they're doing. Jesus knew exactly what he was doing. There's so much fruit and tree imagery in the Bible. Like, 100%. They're tapping into that narrative thread. Yeah. So, and the Bible Project did that. They had the same kind of concept with fruit. And anyway, they used the same.
Yeah.
In that video?
In that video?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Like eating unto yourself death.
Yeah, I guess they didn't actually have the fruit in the garden. Never mind. But all that to say, they're 100%. And if you look at the Old Testament prophets, they all pick up on the exact same themes. Yeah. There's fruit, there's crops, there's trees, there's vines. Like they're all woven together. You go to Isaiah 5, and it's the image of the vineyard of the Lord, where he makes this beautiful vineyard, and then it all bears sour fruit, like bad grapes, and so he tears it all down, and it's this big allegory for Israel. And it's like it's hard to not see it if you start looking for it. It's kind of everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I was guessing because I was like, I bet when these people hear like a bad tree can't produce good fruit and a good tree can't produce bad fruit and all that stuff, I was like, I bet they were like Adam and Eve were bad trees or like ate bad fruit or whatever. Yeah.
You know what fruit they didn't eat from a tree?
Bananas.
Watermelon, because it's a gourd. Watermelon's a gourd.
Wait, gourds can be fruit?
Yeah, like watermelon.
Okay. Yeah.
But we wouldn't call a pumpkin a watermelon. I mean, we wouldn't call a pumpkin a fruit, but it is.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I would definitely call a pumpkin a fruit.
You
Really?
would?
Yeah.
It's so vegetal.
It's what?
Vegetal. That is accurate.
All right.
Like cucumbers are fruit. Everything is fruit. There is no such thing as a vegetable.
Is vegetal a word?
No such thing as a vegetable.
There is no such thing as a vegetable.
Root vegetables.
Those are roots. Those are tubers.
Yeah, but
Those are plant roots. Lettuce.
We're saying words
that's
I didn't
a
even know
leaf.
existed.
That's a leaf.
Vegetal and rooters or tubers.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done. Where do we go next? What are we doing?
Unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure that the next sermon, because I haven't had a chance to look at it
Week
today.
8
is about the centurion.
Well, how come we only spent 2 weeks doing the Sermon on the Mount?
Because we're trying to
3.
get through the entire Gospel of Matthew.
Didn't we give it 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the first one.
Yeah. Because we're trying to get through the whole Gospel of Matthew. And basically, we have until the end of June to get through Matthew 1 through 10 without getting into chapter 2. It's a lot of stuff. And just just do a skim through Matthew 1 through 10 and tell me how do you get that into 12 weeks. I'd like to see anybody figure out how. You have to cut good stuff. And so in this case, we sacrificed the meat of the Sermon on the Mount because we just didn't have the time. So maybe we'll come back and do Follow Me Part 5 sometime and just do a deep dive of the Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah. So I have a 3-part commentary on Matthew. There's the first part and the last part, and the middle part is a book just dedicated to the Sermon on the Mount, just unto itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that to say, we're going to have a very interesting... We've talked a lot about Rome already. Bible Project mentioned it multiple times. And now a Roman centurion, an actual officer in the Roman military, comes to Jesus for help. And it's a very significant thing, not only for the people who saw it happen, but for Matthew's gospel. He's telling a very important message.
Like person you'd least expect.
Person you'd least expect, and also a Gentile.
Whoa.
So we'll get into that. It's gonna be good, and we're gonna learn some stuff about Matthew's intentions with what he's trying to write.
Okay. We'll be back next week. Hopefully the Pacers are up 2-1.
I'll let
by
you
that
know.
time.
Yeah.
You'll let me know.
I'll be sure to let everyone know how we're doing.
All right. Marin, will you please send us out?
I will. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
And we'll see you on the other side of Sunday.